absolute beauty. A Hollandaise, which is actually probably my favourite go-to. I've got egg yolks, vinegar, and what I always do with my Hollandaise is I add a splash of water into the base. So typically I add about 100 mils to one recipe of Hollandaise. Then I heat it up over a bain-marie. Bain-marie is literally just a pan of simmering water with a metal bowl. All we're going to do is just lightly whisk it till it starts to froth up, and then once it starts to froth, we're going to take it a little step further until it turns into what they call a sabayon. You need to keep this continuously moving until it resembles almost like a thick mayonnaise. It starts to get this sort of like thick foam consistency. Well, you want to keep it going. Well, this probably is hit about 74 degrees, which is the temperature where egg yolks start to coagulate enough to emulsify butter into it. The water adds a little bit of stability, and the vinegar adds a flavouring. Now it's got this sort of very thick consistency, and what I'm going to do, turn the heat off, get your pan you've been simmering away in there, and then place it over there. So this adds stability whilst you're emulsifying your sauce, but it also keeps it nice and warm as well. And then I'm just going to slowly add my clarified butter. In my honest opinion, clarified butter, how you should technically do clarified butter is skim off any impurity with clarified butter, especially with Hollandaise. I always just melt the butter and add everything in. The reason I do that is because the butter solids have a lot of flavour. I could never really understand why you would take them out. So if it's getting too thick, add a splash of water, absolutely no problem at all, and then continue until you've emulsified all your butter into it. I didn't add any salt at the beginning because salt into emulsions is typically a similar principle as scrambled egg. The salt sort of holds around the protein particles from the eggs, and it can inhibit the sauce from thickening. So typically, to hold a whisk like this, especially if you know you're going to be whisking for a while, and you kind of just lifting it up and adding it back into the sauce, it's just a lot easier on the arm. Got this beautiful thick consistency. It's nice and pale, so you've got a lot of butter in there. So here's our Hollandaise. Now that's perfect as it is. You can add a little bit of paprika. So Béarnaise is slightly different to a Hollandaise, but also quite similar in flavour. Very similar in sort of consistency to a Hollandaise, but it's just a little bit different in sort of conception. The fundamental principle is they all taste really, really good with steak. Tarragon, it's traditional in a Béarnaise, so lots of that in there. Beautiful aniseed consistency. Just a small amount of brunoise shallot, crossways. So this is a very fine brunoise. It's going to add that sort of like allium hit, and then you can see it's still really stable, this Hollandaise. So this is our sort of fake, super quick Béarnaise based on a Hollandaise sauce. My favourite way to eat a Béarnaise is with a big fat juicy steak. I've got a ribeye here, cut nice medium rare, splash of lemon juice just before you serve it, big plate of chips. That is an absolute dream for lunch. Look at that, absolute beauty.